Time now for our second panel of the day. Please give a big warm welcome to Brad Scott, Zach Merritt, Natalie Wood, Steph Kane and Andy McGrath. We all having fun? Yep. Hello, how are you? Hi, hello, good to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, there's Zach, he's coming up here. Good. All right, let's launch straight into a question to the coach. Brad, what's been the focus of the pre-season? What's been the theme? What are we working on?
Well, it's a great question. The simple answer is everything. We've had a really strong focus on all parts of our game, but I think the thing for all of our members, we've got some really important new staff members that have come in to our football program. David Rath, who's someone I've known for a long time, who's been involved at the AIS previously, but was at Hawthorn during their three-peat, and he's in a coaching innovation role. So he really helps the coaches with strategy and reviewing training and making sure that we're actually training what we think we are. So he's been a fantastic acquisition. But you know, the main thing for us has been getting the players physically and mentally prepared to perform when it really counts. And so we've had a lot of focus on the mental side of the game. You know, physically these guys are working extremely hard, but we're working equally as hard on the mental side of the game. And we know that AFL footy's full of pressure, and you know, we've worked really hard on the players performing with pressure.
So can you give the members a little bit of a scoop on what February will look like? So the month before it all begins in March, some pre-season games, no doubt?
Yeah, there is. We know that we're playing Geelong in our official pre-season practice game, which the AFL have fixtured. And at this stage, it's likely that we'll play another AFL opposition the week before that. Each AFL club organises that internally, so we're still working through that, but we'll probably play one intra-club before that, which we'd love our members to come out and watch. That'll be here at the hangar, so a really good opportunity to see a competitive intra-club hit out before we play another AFL opposition team before Geelong.
Sounds good, guys. Make sure you keep an eye out on the website. I'm sure the date of that will be announced in due course. Nat, what an impressive season the girls had. Can you talk to us about the growth and about just how impressed you were with where this team got to?
Yeah, I guess we've had our team for 18 months, and to make the finals in our second season was an outstanding achievement, and really proud of the way that Bonnie and Steph really lead our players. It was great to see not just our on-field growth, but the work that everyone's doing to get that connection off-field so that we really can keep propelling ourselves forward. But yeah, it was fantastic. Unfortunately, we didn't win our final, but particularly in the second half of a really tough game, I thought we showed a lot of grit and a lot of probably what our game style will look like moving forward.
Zach, you've got your first season as skipper under the belt now. What have you learnt? What have you taken away from your first year in charge of that leadership group?
How long do we have? Don't have that long, do we? No, I've got a pretty long, a few workbooks that are full of notes from my first season. A lot of learnings. Very fortunate to have Dyson stick around last year and help guide me through my first year in the role, and to be supported by Andy. You know, the two of us spent a lot of time together, and feel like we're building out, you know, a really strong group around us as well. And as Brad mentioned, I think we're spending a lot more time this pre-season around the mental side of things, around our leadership, our culture, and our environment, to build out that over the next sort of 2, 3, 5, 10 years. So yeah, it was a really fast-paced season, something I really enjoyed, and I think Andy got to experience at Anzac Day being captain, which was awesome as well for him to experience, you know, running out first and being on such a special day. But to be honest, I feel like we've got a good bunch of guys that are committed, and we're sharing the load pretty well. So it makes my job pretty easy.
What have you observed since the group's come back from pre-season? What kind of shapes everyone in, mentally, physically, emotionally, like wanting this, the hunger of the group?
Yeah, I think our social media team's using a few filters for some of the boys who look a little bit bigger in the photos, so I'm not sure why I haven't got that filter used yet, but yeah, I think those boys that went to Exos was fantastic to see the mindset and the attitude of the group, wanting to get better and investing in themselves, but even the guys I think that stayed around Melbourne or were in the club every day, there was an amazing appetite to get better, and no doubt the way we finished last year left a pretty sour taste in all of us. We spent a lot of time together in the off season, just wanted to get back into training and train together and get better. So I'm sure every club says it this time of year, but I've never seen the group wanting it more motivated and inspired to get better. And I think we're just keen to get back into competing against opposition players, because it's difficult at times when you start competing against yourselves and balancing up that competitive juices and trying to connect and improve as a team. So I think we're in a really good spot, but ideally we can get back into some really competitive drills pretty soon.
Not too far away. Steph, a question for you. In previous years, AFLW training has been at night or on weekends and kind of working around people having jobs. That's changing. We're seeing more during the day, and the professionalism of the AFLW definitely is headed in that direction. What kind of impact has that had on you and your work-life balance?
It's unbelievable. It's the best part of my week is coming into the football club on a Tuesday, which is our day training session. We've had the Mondays as well to split kind of our group up, and we've got a group which we're calling them the blue collars, which come in the afternoon after work hours, and the earlier group, which is the holidayers who spend a little bit more time on the recreational side of things, and that's where it's heading. So that group get to enjoy, I guess, devoting more time to their football and their craft, which is, like you said, where we're heading. So we're definitely noticing the change up and how that's benefiting our program, and we were able to take that to another level this year and put more into those Tuesday day sessions to really come together as a group, but to get better as athletes as well.
Perhaps one day down the track you'll look back at that story and laugh that anyone was doing things outside of football, having time to do it, such as the professionalism of it. Andy, how are you seeing the summer and the young players that we've brought into the football club and how they're developing?
It's been a really exciting off-season for our footy club. I think we brought in some really great free agents that are in an awesome age bracket for our football club. Obviously, Goldie's probably the oldest of the group, but seeing him run around, he's going to add a super element to our team and grow the likes of Draper and Brian and young Vizentini. I guess we've got some more experienced guys like Benny Mackay, Jade Gresham, Xavier Dersma, who are all experienced players. They've played a lot of footy, they know what it takes, they're all pros, and have really lifted the standards around the place, and sort of know how to train and want that success that we're all searching for. And then obviously the new draftees coming in, they've all been bright-eyed and taking everything in their stride, asking questions, really inquisitive, trying to get better. And I think our strength and conditioning are holding them back a little bit, but we saw young Nate Caddy take a hanger on Jaden this morning, which was pretty nice to see. And hopefully we see that a few more times. But the appetite of all those guys, along with the rest of the playing group, has been really pleasing, and our challenge is just to continue that for as long as possible, all the way through to the end of September. Brilliant.
All right, enough of my questions. Time now for yours, and we have Amanda Houston from Glenroy, a 13-year member. There we go, and a reminder to give us a wave so we know who to chat to. Her question is to Brad. What made you want to coach the Bombers, Brad?
That's a great question, because I when I finished coaching previously, I moved across to the AFL to pursue a career in sports administration, which I really loved, and I really loved. It opened my eyes to the challenge that the AFL have administering, this great game. And what I learned at the AFL is that, if you please probably 40% of the population, you're doing a really, really good job. But very quickly, I wouldn't have returned to coach just any team. I'm a big believer that the fit has to work for both parties, and I really felt that David Barham presented a very, very compelling vision for the Essendon Football Club, and and I said to him, if Dave, if you think that we can turn this around instantly, I'm not the right person to do that. I think we need to build this over time, and I've said repeatedly, I don't want to sit here and tell Essendon members, particularly members who have been around for 20 plus years, to be patient, because I think you've been patient for long enough. But rest assured that I came to Essendon because of the vision that Dave Barham put forward, and underpinning everything we do and all the hard work we do, it's to make your lives as enjoyable as possible. And when you go to the MCG or Marvel Stadium to watch us play, you can be really proud of your football club again, and that drives everything that we do. We want to make you proud. We want to make you love your footy when you come watch us play. And of course, we want to bring success back to the Essendon Football Club, and we're really driven to do that. But we want you to be proud of the players and the club, and I know you are. And when I woke up this morning, I thought, the weather being what it is, no one's going to turn up, but you're all here. And I think you're always going to turn up, but we want you to turn up feeling unbelievably proud of the club that we're building. And, we've got great history, but this playing group wants to write its own history. And, when I met Andy and Zach and Dyson Heppel, we've got a really hungry playing group, so I knew instantly that I'd made the right decision to join the process and put forward my vision for the football club. And, to coach a club like Essendon, is every coach's dream. So, I'm the luckiest person in the AFL.
Amanda's got another question, and this is for you, Steph. What made you want to become a footy player?
I remember growing up kicking a footy, when I was a little tacker. I don't have any brothers, so it was, I guess, kind of out of the norm in that sense. I remember reading Speck and McGee, and I just absolutely adored those books and that series, and I've still got them at home to this day, and I'll whip it out every now and again. So moments like that are things that I remember. I guess I had to transition away from football growing up because there wasn't a pathway for me back then, but I always just love watching football and being a part of it. So when AFL Women started to implement themselves back in 2016 to bring the league into 2017, I wanted to be a part of it, and I guess I moved back into football and absolutely loved it. I love the competitiveness of being with your mates and the camaraderie of the game, and there's just so many elements in AFL football, Australian rules football, that we all know that you can't get in any other sport, and I guess that's what brings me to it, and that's what I love about it.
Great question. Thank you, Amanda, for those two good ones. We've got William Marks from Pakenham, a one-year member, and he's got another question. Where are you, Will? Oh, he's up the back having a kick. Come back, Will. We've got your question, buddy. And it's to Zach. What did you like the most about being captain last year? This year.
What did I like the most?
What year is it? 2023.
Year, yeah. No, I think the biggest thrill, and Brad touched on how fortunate we are to be in this position, but to run out first in front of all the crowd in so many big games is something I never take for granted. And I watched Dyson do it for about 6 seasons, sitting in behind him to be able to do it myself this year was super special. And I think the best part of the game for me is post-toss running back or walking back to the players. They're obviously ready to embrace me, and they're ready with all their motivation and their energy, and can feel the crowd building. That's something that I certainly don't take for granted, and lucky we get to play in front of so many big crowds so often. So that's probably the big highlight for me.
Good question, Will. You can go kick the footy again, yeah? Well done, buddy. All right, we've got Matthew Vorich from Officer, a 5-year member, and this is a question for Brad. With all the new players joining the club over draft period and trade, how do you go about building chemistry?
Yeah, that's a super question, because it's something I'm somewhat concerned about, because it does take time to build synergy and connection with new players. And we've brought some players in that we think fill a need for us and are very good players, but gelling with the rest of the team is a real challenge. And we've seen that through the competition when new players come in, that it takes them a bit of time to get to know their teammates. So we're really aware of that, and we're working really hard on making sure that the players spend as much time together, even though we've got a couple of guys in rehab. Xavier Dersma and Ben Mackay are transitioning back into full training now, but they're spending an enormous amount of time with players who play in their part of the ground. And the answer as to whether we've done it well probably won't be evident until the midpoint of the season. But it's a real risk for us at the start of the year that we have new players that take a little bit of time to gel with their teammates. So we're aware of it, and I think if you're aware of it, you can work really hard at it. So it's difficult, but so far so good. And on the flip side of it too, you see Ben Mackay doing some rehab work with Peter Wright, we think that Ben Mackay can make Peter Wright an even better player there. I'm looking forward to some competitive one-on-one drills with our number one key forward against, a big, strong key back in Ben Mackay. So, there are some great advantages, but that synergy is a really important part.
Awesome question. We've got Caitlin McDonald next. Caitlin, if you want to give us a wave. Caitlin's from Craigieburn, a one-year member, and her question's for Nat. What are your top 3 values at the club, and how do you want your team to play?
Ooh, top 3 values. That's a really good question. I think the first one comes from wanting it to be better, so having an improvement focus. It's a tough game, and as Brad just said, it's tough to grow your craft, but also to connect with your teammates. So making sure that players and the staff and us as a whole club have an improvement focus is really important. Then coming alongside of that is hard work. It is tough. Like you saw the guys running out here this morning in some tricky conditions. You've got to be prepared to dig deep and work hard. And the third one's probably more around care and connection. Being prepared to really care for your playing group, your teammates, the staff, but also the members and the supporters, and just having that care to embrace what being a part of Essendon is. And I think if we do that well, then we're starting to build some good connection. And when you've got strong connection, you're starting to have a lot of fun. So I think if we can breed fun in, then it's a bit easier to do the hard work. So I think we've done a pretty good job in the first 2 seasons of starting to build that, and hopefully we can keep doing so.
Have fun when you're winning, don't you? So that's fabulous. I love it. We've got Sophie Hose next from Ringwood, a one-year member, and Sophie wants to ask Andy, what are your personal best achievements and what are you hoping to achieve this season?
Yeah, it's a hard question because we play a team sport with a lot of different variables. We obviously have 18 players on the field at any one time, and I think as you go on in your journey, your personal achievements change more to team achievements. When you're a young player, you dream of solidifying your spot in the team and playing every week in front of amazing fans like you guys. But now, individually, I want to be the best player I can, but my focus is purely on winning as the Essendon Football Club. Obviously, within that, you have to bring your own strengths and become the player that you want to become for your teammates. But as you get a little bit older, the order of that shifts and your focus turns outwards, and you want to make, I play halfback, so I want to make our small forwards as good as they can be. I want them to be turning me inside out and making my job really hard, because I know it's going to help me on the last day in September, and playing against really dangerous players, you need to train that way. So I guess personally, there's not too much I'm focusing on other than getting better every day. Like Nat mentioned, you have to continue to search to get better. Even I'm 25 now, Zach's a little bit older. Every day we try and get ourselves better, and that's a really simple focus for us every single day and every single week. But ultimately the goal is team success, and we're all striving towards that.
Brilliant. We've got Jared Feehan from Malvern, a 28-year member. Congratulations, Jared. And this is a good question for Brad. Any players trialling new positions this season?
We're working through that constantly. I think there are some players that we're really keen to that we didn't have access to at this time last year. So, Zach Reid hasn't played a lot of footy. He's been, feels like he's been around the football club for a long time, for 8 games, and only restricted due to injury. So, when you look at our back half, there are some, acquisition of Ben Mackay, hopefully getting Reedy back. There's some really good competition for spots back there. And if our team's going really well, we're going to have a pretty strong VFL team. So there's those guys almost feel like new players for us, in Zach Reid's case. And we will look to support Andy and Mason Redmond, a little bit more with some bounce out of our back half. So can't divulge anything at this stage, but we're certainly looking at some options to provide a bit more bounce out of our back half. So don't worry, Zach, you're still playing in the midfield, so it doesn't involve Zach going back. But no, we might have some, and there'll be no secrets come intra-club time, because you'll see it. It'll be there for all to see. But we're working through some positional changes at the moment. But I don't want to be made out to be a liar and say it now. We'll see how things evolve over the next couple of months, but we're certainly looking at some positional changes.
There you go. Come along to the intra-club and watch the pre-season closely. You'll see it all unfold. Darren Fennick from Lawler, an 8-year member. Darren, if you want to give us a wave. We've got a question for Steph. Does making and losing a final make you want to do better next year?
Yeah, absolutely it does. I think making it gives it a bit more of a reality for the group and a bit more substance to know that as an AFLW team we can do it, and particularly in our second year, having that as a reality is something to really work off the back of. I unfortunately didn't get to play individually, but I saw the group and the emotional ride that it took, and you go from an absolute high before you go out and to being able to make a final. I think the football club embraced us being in that position as well. So there's a lot that you can drive off, but then at the end of it, when you lose and you come off, you really remember those moments as well. So it's going to continually drive us, and to know that we can get there and we can do it as a team in the competition. We'll continue to drive that belief within the playing group, and it makes you want to make it. That's 100%, yeah.
For sure. And Logan Smith from Heathmont, an 8-year member. His question works really nicely off the back to you, Nat. What improvements does the team need to make to take that next step?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've spoken with the whole group around is that there are times when we can attack quite well and that we can defend quite well, but we don't do it well from one end to the ground to the other. So we've got a little bit of work to do with our transition. That's a little bit to do with our fitness, but a lot to do with our coaching and education on when to go and how to go. So I think the work that we've done in tight, last year we weren't very good with clearances and around contested possession, so we had to put a lot of work in, and led by Steph and Maddie Prosparka, so we're fantastic and we got a lot of improvements there. But now, it's probably really looking at our whole ground transition, both in attack and defence.
Brilliant. We've got one for Andy McGrath from Luke Farrington from Huntley, an 11-year member, if you want to give us a little bit of a wave. Andy, how do you balance football life and life outside of football?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. It's hard, it's not easy. I tell people, it's like any other job. This is our full-time workplace, and when you're here, you have to be 100% in. You have to buy in, you have to commit, and everything else comes second. But I think in my life, everyone's different, but I find my workplace so much more enjoyable when I have balance. I've got a beautiful partner, Emma, a wonderful family that I'm so grateful for, and making sure that I continue those connections and giving time and energy to them when I'm off and away from the football club. Just gives me so much more energy when I'm here. I've also got a few other interests outside of football. I'm studying as well, and I just find having a really well-balanced life gives you the best chance to come here and realise how grateful and how well we have it. It motivates me every day to come here and play for the fans sitting in the room today, and it can be challenging at times. I can be grumpy at home with my partner and John Menzies, who lives with me as well, but I always know that when my head hits the pillow, football's number one when I'm here, and then obviously I give a lot of time to my family and friends outside of that.
Great answer, well done. All right, Grant Francis from Croydon, a 30-year member. Hello, has a question for Brad Scott. What are the second-year goals for the club this year?
Yeah, we work really hard on it. It's probably a little bit cliched, but we're focusing on the things that we need to do to get the improvement we want to get to where we want to go. So we have a really strong vision for the overall football club. We're working really hard on the vision for the team, but we really focus with our goals on the actions and the behaviours that we need to achieve that vision. So we don't have explicit goals like we want to win X number of games or we want to finish in a certain place, because that takes the players' focus to an outcome which they can't necessarily control, because there are 17 other teams that want the same thing. So we focus really strongly on what is absolutely in our control, and we break it down into tiny little segments, and we go into every single session that we do, whether we're in the gym, whether we're in this magnificent hangar facility, or whether we're out on the track, that we're focusing on the things that are going to get us to what we want that vision to be. So we don't I personally think explicit goals that you can't 100% control can take you away from what you should be focusing on. So we'll be asked repeatedly through the pre-season, what are the goals for the year? Where do we think we'll finish? I'm not in the prediction business. I'm in the action business. So, I think for all of our members, it's really important that you understand where I'm coming from, and you might agree, you might disagree, but we are focused on action. And I think less talk, more action, and I think in the long run, that'll make our members much happier.
Good work. All right, guys, that brings to an end our second panel. A big thank you to the team. I'll get Steph and Zach to stay here because you're going to help me do the raffle winner. But put your hands together for our panel of Nat, Brad and Andy, and we'll get Steph and Zach. Our raffle winner is Ryder Lane, an 11-year member from Darley. And the team will give you... Where's Ryder? There he is. Hang on, everyone's running to... Who's Ryder? You're Ryder? Well done, Ryder. Come on up, buddy. And the guys will give you, and then we'll put a little photo over there.
This one's Ryder. Oh, yeah. Congrats. Yeah, the photo as well.
Oh, nearly falling over. Well done, Ryder. Awesome work. Yay. Brilliant.